regular meeting of the Navasota City Council is called to order on Monday, the 22nd of April in council chambers. Let the record show all council members are present. Welcome. Thank everyone for being here this evening. Ask that you put your cell phones in the silent mode. And visitors, if you would, please sign in. If you wish to speak under visitors' remarks or to a specific agenda item, please fill out the form found in back. State your name and address at the podium, as we must document all meeting business and remarks limited to 3 minutes. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Roberson from Lee Tabernacle Methodist and followed by the pledges.
Gracious God and Heavenly Father, we come this evening with a heart of thanks. We realize that after this meeting, 1/3 of the year will have passed. We just want to thank you for this 1/3, and we look eagerly for your presence in the next 2/3 of the year. As we do the business for the city, we ask blessings upon the council, blessings upon the mayor, blessings upon the clerks, the judge, the police department, and all the citizens of our city. We also ask, Lord, that you would be with us and guide us and keep us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Any remarks of visitors?
No,
Brad, do it now.
Yeah, I think he may want y'all to come stand on the sides too.
All right, at this time, I would like to call up Mr. Judge John LaFleur.
Used to be real judge.
And Ms. Gruner to be sworn in as a municipal judge.
I want y'all to stand.
And, yes. Okay.
He wants the seal in the back.
Get that background.
He ready to get his record in case you see him.
They want the back.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if that's yours.
Maybe that one needs to go over a little bit more.
And if you would raise your right hand, please. And repeat after me. I, Patricia M. Gruner,
I, Patricia M. Gruner,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of municipal judge
of municipal judge
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will do the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect, and
protect,
defend
and defend
the
the
Constitution and the
Constitution
laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of the state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Are you a judge? Come here, husband.
John, before you sit down, can I ask for Cheryl to come up? I'd like to have a picture made with her.
Oh, she makes a camera every time.
If y'all want to get a little.
Come on, Michelle. Michelle, like mine is the same. I need to get straight up right now.
Yeah, if y'all two want to.
Good time to take a picture. Connie got some pictures.
Yeah. I've got to get it on there.
Connie got some pictures to take too. Most of them.
Rochelle,
You're welcome.
make sure you sign this one.
You already signed.
Oh, yeah?
Get Pat to sign.
I was gonna say, let me,
Okay.
Up here, rearrange it.
Yeah, we wanted to get the chairs
You had a
out of the
chance
way
to-
for the.
You had a chance to meet?
Yes, sir, yeah, we had a meeting and.
If you did, it will be Bernie's.
Where'd you house?
There's no mistaking that one.
Yeah, you'll know if you sit in here.
Who'd been sitting in my chair?
Maybe people aren't paying attention. You know, it's like, okay, yes, they are. I don't know. That's good.
Wait a minute. You need one more picture. He's got to pass over the gavel. Yeah, we're gonna go do this. Did you call them and set it up? We do it.
Judge Judy.
Friend of mine sitting there.
Oh, my
I
God.
won't wear it, but I said I'll take it.
I love it.
Here's your gavel, you need a gavel. First time, good. You can go here to the back of the room.
Bert can't even throw it to the end of the room.
No,
That thing's heavy.
it's a little lopsided.
Yeah.
You can't throw it to the back of the room.
Uh-oh.
You just come in and look.
You want me to see if
look at it.
you want me to see? I'd hate for somebody to get popped in the head.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Take him 2 arms, like the Highland Games.
Yeah, I'll give you a call. Find out when you take your first break, right?
All right, item 4, staff report, Mr. Stafford.
Item 5.
I'm sorry?
It's item 5.
That,
Yes, sir, it's 4, we did the oath of office.
that changed.
Sorry.
Threw me off.
Mr. Mayor and City Council.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
First,
Just go.
First off, Lieutenant Mize is going to show you a little bit of equipment that the department has purchased recently and tell you how they purchased it.
For City Council, I don't know which update y'all got, or if y'all know anything about the equipment yet? No, alright, so we're working on it since, the new year, purchasing all officers in the department, basically their duty belts. And so just finally, recently, in the last month, we ordered everything through GTs. We're able to order everybody in the department the same duty gear, duty belt, holsters, pistols, pistol lights, handcuff cases. Basically, their entire duty belts are going to be all uniform now, so the guys won't be mixed matching any of that. Plus, it may help out in recruitment now that our department's going to furnish all their gear for them, which costs close to about $1,000 an officer, so that helps out. And now all the pistols are going to be the same, so this is some of the stuff. Also, now we're going to go into the black leather gear. We don't have everything in. We already made the order, made the purchase. We're all going to have Glock 19 pistols with a tac light attached to them, so that the only thing they have to basically supply is going to be handcuffs, a flashlight, and baton. So basically not a city. One thing how we were able to afford this and pay for it all was through our drug seizures. So basically, drug dealers paid for it all, seizing their money and assets through all that. No cost from the department. It's basically all the work that everybody's done on narcotics and other type of seizures. Use that account, forfeiture and asset seizures, and that's how we purchased it all. We're waiting for it to all come in. Once it all comes in, we've already got just a couple of things, the belt and a couple of ass holders and all the pistols, all the lights are in. We're just waiting for holsters, handcuff pouches and all that to come in. Then we're going to go do qualifications and issue them all out. So the guys are now gonna look all identical, uniforms, duty gear, everything's gonna be the same now.
Great. Nice.
It's great. Thank you.
Great work.
I'm glad my belt doesn't cost $1,000.
Doesn't come with all the bells and whistles as this one does.
On our entrance monument that was damaged by the automobile last month, Lance is still working with the insurance company, and Kat, Susie, and Dom are working on, we'll have to rebid the construction of that monument, so we're working on that. Just kind of want everybody to know we didn't forget about it, and we're not going to leave it halfway built out there. The crosswalk update is a crosswalk on Washington Avenue, right around the Farquhar Blues Alley area. I met last week with TxDOT. Looks like that's going to be it's something that they really want to help us with. They are asking us to partner with them, or we'll have to wait much longer to get it because they have so many projects. But if we will work on answering a couple of questions for them, getting an engineer to answer them, and do some engineering work and design it to TxDOT standards, they will bid the project and get it taken care of.
Is there any chance it could be done at the same time the crossing of Washington gets closed off for 3 weeks? I know that's pretty short notice.
Probably not, but we haven't awarded a bid on that yet, so there's a possibility we could. It's something that I can work with all the engineers on to try to see if we can't coordinate that.
Just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So I'll work on that with them. I've just got to get a couple of questions answered by the firm that did the crosswalk study. There were a couple of questions that TxDOT still has on that, but they definitely want to make this happen, but they said it could happen quicker if we would participate with the engineering side. Emily will give you an update for Kidfish.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. Kidfish is scheduled to be May 11th from 9 a.m. to 12 at Pat2 Pond, I can't say that, in Navasota off of Highway 6. Kidfish is free, and the first 100 registrants will receive a free Navasota Kidfish t-shirt, not more than one. Navasota Noon Lions Club is sponsoring the food and snow cones, and Kidfish is providing the fishing equipment as always. There will be staff and volunteers to help with knot tying, casting, and fish identification. And for more information, there's a Facebook event page and an event page on the city website, or City Hall can give it to them too.
What's the ages?
16 and younger to fish, and a parent or guardian needs to be there to sign off so they can fish.
And to assist.
Yes. They might fish on their own, Brad. Any questions?
Keep it secret when you get that thing stocked so that
Yeah.
people don't sneak out there.
Yeah, I won't be giving an update when that happens. But, yeah. So, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Chris Groover has information about the trash off.
2.0.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, City Council, good evening. Due to inclement weather, we had to reschedule our trash off. It was scheduled for the 7th of April. Now it is this weekend on the 27th. We're hoping for a good turnout still. We have our fingers crossed. None of the figures and all that jazz that I gave you all last time has changed at all. So we just have our fingers crossed. I know we have also that night, we're up against a couple of things. We have prom, I believe, here in town, and then also the Crawfish Festival up the road a little ways. So hopefully folks are still going to be into coming out and helping us out that day. It should
Just
be
that
beautiful.
morning, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, just that morning from 8 to noon. It's not a big time commitment.
I saw sunshine in the forecast.
Hopefully, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chris.
And last but not least, I wanted to give you a quick Update on the ground storage tank. Last week, the materials testing company was in there. They did pump the water out, and they got in there and started doing some of their testing. I did not get out there today, and I didn't talk to anybody late last week to see how far they got, but they did actually get started last week. So there is movement on taking care of that issue. And they understand that we want to get it up and running as soon as possible. And that's
And you had also advised something about the sidewalk project, about lights were being delayed, right?
yes, the lighting has been ordered. We had a little confusion. We had thought that we could start doing our lighting through Entergy. However, once their lighting person got on site, they could not match our existing lamp posts. And so rather than have mix and match, we told them no, we would just order again and go through the process, which there's a change order to do that.
And then the alley over here looked like they were pouring concrete in behind the,
I don't know how much they got poured. I've been in meetings today. Did they?
I think they may have poured the whole thing. So that was this morning when
They
I
did?
went by there, so.
Okay, they got the whole thing. Haven't gone out there since this morning. Making progress. We have a change order for both of those projects coming up here in just a few minutes, but.
Okay.
And
All right, well, coming up, we have our fourth Friday's coming up this Friday, so get downtown and check out our shops and everything to, if you're not able to during the day, here's a great opportunity after 5 to get out and join neighbors downtown. And May 2nd is National Day of Prayer, and that'll be at 7 o'clock at the VFW. So the public is invited to come out to that. Any reports from council on boards and commissions?
Well, the Library Advisory Board met and spent most of the time talking about how the microfiche machine is not adequate anymore and whether to replace it, get it repaired and so on, and they're looking for funds. So it's sort of an ongoing project for them.
I think they did move forward, didn't they, with the bike racks finally, or no?
The bike rack apparently has been ordered,
Okay.
because I think it's even in, but it hasn't been installed yet. They're trying to decide exactly where they want to put it. The bench is there, and they may want to come up with a little landscape plan and plan it out. They're trying to keep smokers away from the front door.
All right.
This,
Yes, sir.
the 27th, I think we also have the take back drugs, I believe. And the hazardous waste thing is up at College Station, Veterans Park, I believe.
Same day.
All electronics,
Electronics
paints,
and
all kinds of stuff.
And the take back drugs will be here in the parking lot at City Hall, and just any unused, any expired from, they can be you or your family or, whoever, bring them on. And that's from 10 to 2. And that's also this Saturday. Okay. All right. Item 6 is consideration of possible action on approval of change order number 3 on the alleyway reconstruction project in the amount of $6,645 to DNS Contracting. Mr. Stafford.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, we just had a couple of items there that we needed to take care of. One was the extension of the conduit for the electrical on those so that we could get it further up to the building instead of just sticking up out in the edge of the right-of-way. The other was a 2-inch gas service for the hotel, and some other plumbing work that had to take place, some one-inch services in that little courtyard area behind Mr. Sanders for future use. Once they got in that little courtyard, they found all kinds of issues when they started digging.
Did they call before digging?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve change order number 3 on the alleyway reconstruction project in the amount of $6,645 to DNS Contracting.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Holt, second by Mr. Horn to approve change order number 3.
Mr. Mayor, one thing to notice on this is that the completion date on this is now next Monday, 1 week from now, barring bad weather. So it's almost done.
Yes, it is.
Been a long time coming.
All right, got a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 7 is consideration and possible action on change order number 2 for the 2017 Texas Capital Fund Downtown Revitalization Program Sidewalk Project in the amount of $50,390 to Palomares Construction. Mr. Stafford.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, this is the discussion we were having earlier about the lighting for that sidewalk project. We now have to move that into Palomares contract so that they can put those lights in rather than having to pay Entergy. So that covers the light poles, the fixtures, and the conduits.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve change order number 2 for the 2017 Texas Capital Fund Downtown Revitalization Program Sidewalk Project in the amount of $50,390 to Palomares Construction.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Horn, second by Mr. Fultz to approve change order number 2 for the 2017 Texas Capital Fund Revitalization Project. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 8, consideration and possible action on award of bid for the 2015 GLO, that's General Land Office, CDBG, Foster Street Drainage Improvement Project. Mr. Stafford.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, this is the grant for the 2015 flooding, so it's our hazard mitigation disaster recovery grant. We already have it designed. Kent Laza is here this evening with CEC. If you have any technical questions, I'll leave those for him. However, we took bids on that, did receive multiple bids. We were glad to get that many bids, and our low bidder was Larry Young Paving. Also, it came in below our projections.
And the bid documents must have been really well done because the spread was quite good on the bids, pretty tight.
Yeah.
And we worked with them before, so
Yeah.
reasonably pleased with them.
They've done our last couple of street projects, haven't they? Or at least one of them.
One last year, I believe. I think it was last year.
Yeah. And this is the bid for everything with the 4 alternate. So it's a whole deal.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we award the 2015 GLO CDBG DR Foster Street Drainage Improvement Project to Larry Young Paving in the amount of $815,835.76.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Holt, second by Mr. Horn to approve or award the bid for the 2015 GLO CDBG project. If I could add just one thing, would they be doing the signage like we've been doing on other projects? You know, so that
Yeah, I think that's a requirement of this grant, isn't it, to put up some kind of signage?
just,
I don't believe there's a bid item for that,
Oh, there may not be.
so I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
we can look into that.
Generally, they make us put those signs up because that's part of their advertisement.
It's just, you know, for all the issues we've had with flooding, it's just nice to at least get the
Get the credit for it.
word out. If possible. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries.
Can't believe y'all that can't get off without any hard questions, but.
I had some math questions, but I really wasn't sure.
Bert, those go right to him.
The chair squeaks.
It's a little bit.
Alright. On to item 9. Item 9, consideration of possible action on Republic Services contract. Mr. Stafford.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, my Republic Services contract for solid waste collection expires in January 31st of 2020. Contract allows for an extension up to 3 one-year periods, as long as we have written notice in at least 180 days prior to expiration. So the question that I had for you guys is, do you want to extend this? Do you want to accept proposals? Because if we're going to extend it, I need to let them know pretty soon in writing.
This extension would be at the same rates.
It'd be at the same rates for now. I think it's in, I can't remember what date they get to review, propose any changes. I can't remember what date that is. I'll look real quick and see if I can find it.
There are some provisions in the contract that allow them to come to the council for increases, and that's written into the contract.
Yeah,
It's just a contract.
Certain date, I think, or a certain time frame that they have.
I can't remember that date either.
They have that, it's annually that they can come back, and it's all tied to the consumer price index for all urban consumers.
It's in 5.03, July 31st. Second line from the bottom, on page 10 of the.
I think
20
last
of the
year,
contract.
last year
we
they
had the
came,
first
but it was the
increase.
first time in years
Yeah.
that we had had one.
So we really only have a week to tell them.
I don't have my calendar in front of me to figure it, but
So if we had 100.
180 days.
Yeah, so-
180 days, but the term, that was before the termination date.
Before the
which is-
31st of January.
Right, which is August 5th. I went ahead and did the calculation.
Yeah.
August 5th is the.
But I wanted to get it out in front of us now to have the conversation. So I had plenty of time.
I see what you're saying. They'd give notice July 31st, and you'd have a week to
The other,
make a decision.
you know, the other enclosure we have with our package is the letter from, the solid waste specialist. Is that unsolicited, or did we?
It's a consulting firm that was just sending out letters saying we can help you negotiate a contract and all this, maybe even find it. I called and talked to them, after they sent me the letter. It's a former mayor and a solid waste guy. Their expertise is in solid waste contracts.
You're operating out of Dallas?
Mhm. Of course, that consulting service is not free.
Yeah.
I didn't get a prize because we weren't looking for anything at the time.
I don't see why we should spend the money. We're happy with Republic Services.
We've been very happy with them over the past years. They've done right by us, so.
Well, and Republic haven't really heard, I haven't heard any complaints, and the other thing that I really appreciate with Republic is how much they return back to the community in different ways.
Yeah.
They get involved in everything that we do,
Yeah.
you know, all extracurricular stuff.
Yeah, they'll have representatives here on Saturday for the trash off, sure.
Yeah, we can get David out there picking up trash too.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we extend the contract with Republic Waste Services for one more year.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Holt, second by Mr. Horn to approve 1-year extension or 1-year period renewal. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 10, consideration and possible action on canceling or moving the May 27, 2019 council meeting due to Memorial Day holiday.
I think we should come. I think our legal counsel should be here also.
You bet. I'll be glad to be here.
Yeah, I think his price triples or something.
A little bit of holiday pay involved, but other than that.
He'll have a good Christmas if we do that. We don't have anything pressing.
I think we can get everything in the one meeting and.
On the 13th.
Cancel it. Then if we had something crop up that was an emergency, we can.
Schedule a special meeting.
Special meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move we cancel the May 27th city council meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Horn, second by Mr. Gessner to cancel May 27, 2019 council meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 11, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding annexation. Mr. Stafford?
Mr. Mayor and City Council, in February when we discussed this, we had the conversation of maybe not moving forward unless we had a need to do so, due to legislation or anything like that. There has been some legislation proposed that affect annexation. That's why I asked Kerry to come this evening. He's done a little research on that for us, and we'll present you with what they have proposed to date. I actually don't have any exact spot that I would propose at this point, but let Kerry explain what has happened, and then you can decide if you want to pursue something or just wait and see what happens.
Mayor, Council, just to give you a brief overview, in 2017, the legislature amended the state law with respect to annexation that changed it had the impact on cities of 500,000 in population or more. And basically what the legislature did in 2017 to those cities, it said, look, if you're going to annex, you have to have the consent of the voters in the area or the landowners. Without that, you cannot annex. If you don't get a petition requesting annexation, you can hold an election in the area that you want to annex. But the likelihood of that, somebody voting for annexation is slim. I guess it could happen, but made it more difficult for cities of 500,000 in population or more to annex. And so there's a House bill in this legislative session that's been filed. It's House Bill 347, and it would apply the same standard to all cities throughout Texas, no matter the population. So the idea of unilateral annexation, annexing without the consent of the voters in the area or the landowners, would go away if this bill were to pass. And so the question comes up, is there anything any area that you want to look into annexing until, before this legislation is enacted? House Bill 347 was passed out of the House. It was amended. So the version that has now been sent over to the Senate, the effective date has been changed from September 1 of 2019 to, there's a provision in the bill that would make it effective immediately. So the House and the Senate have to approve the bill by 2/3 majority. I don't know if there are if there's 2/3 of each house that would, or each house that would approve that legislation. But if it was made effective immediately, there is a provision that somewhat mitigates that. If the council has enacted a resolution directing the city manager to prepare a service plan for the area that is being considered for annexation, and if this legislation was made effective immediately, say in a couple of weeks, if you had enacted that resolution, under this law, that annexation would be considered to be in process. And so this bill would not impact that particular annexation. So, if there is an area that you're interested in bringing into the city, then I should get working on that resolution pretty quickly, because, that you're probably, the House enacted the House passed the bill, it was sent over to the Senate, it's been assigned to the State Affairs Committee, that was about a week ago. It would need to have a hearing in front of the State Affairs Committee, then would go to the full Senate. That could happen within a couple of weeks, if they really wanted to push this bill through quickly. So that's kind of the lay of the land right now. If you have any questions, I'm glad to address them. So it's one of many negative bills in the legislature right now being considered in this session. So.
Now, this does not affect the voluntary annexation.
No. If the landowner wanted to request annexation into the city, the landowner could still come to the city and say, hey, I'd like to be annexed to get utility services, whatever the case may be. That would be, considered one of the annexations that would be, by petition of the landowner. So you would not have to have an election in that situation.
And that's how we've done a lot of our annexation anyway.
Most of what the recent annexations have been done that way. So, as the developers handle. I don't see annexation just for the sake of annexation. We're still in the same situation we've been in for several years. Is we're not sure exactly where the growth is going to come.
There's a lot of space.
It could theoretically come from, 4 or 5 different directions at this point. And it's totally dependent on somebody jumping in and developing in one of those areas, whether it's to the north, the northeast, the east, the southeast, the south, and the west, even the west now.
Yeah.
So, I hate to pass up the opportunity, but I think doing it just for the sake of doing it.
Just for the sake of doing it is not, yeah.
And it also leaves us with only a 20% chance to get it right.
I agree. And also, if a big developer came in and wanted to do a new subdivision somewhere near town, they'd probably request.
They're gonna request it.
So I think we're good the way we are.
Okay, I think you got your answer.
That's good.
Thank you, Kerry. as far as other things with the legislature, is there anywhere we can tell them where to, I'm sorry. I didn't say that. Okay. Review City of Navasota Quarterly Investment Report for quarter ending 3/31/19.
Mayor, Council, I've included in the packet the investment report for ending March 31st, 2019. We had a beginning market value of $3,843,104.69. We ended the quarter with $4,053,391, which is an increase of $210,286. Our maturity is going down. We are working hard with our investment company, trying to find some longer terms out. We're doing a lot of CDs right now, but we've got 2.7 or nearly 2.8 million that will mature this year. We've got 1 million that will mature within the next year, and then we only got 180,000 that's out right now. So, but we are actively looking. I met with them when I was in my meeting in Austin last week, and
I know the bank's rates have gone up slightly.
that's the report. If y'all have any questions?
I still have that question about why we're so heavy into the muni funds, since we don't pay taxes anyway, and one of the advantages of the muni funds is that even though the rate may be a little bit lower, that they're tax-free.
Those rates at the time, I think my descriptions might be a little, like I said, I think the bulk of them right now are in CDs. I think I got them classified as munis.
Okay.
But that's all I've been buying lately. We bought 350,000 in CDs the other day. So I'll go back and check that and make sure, but I think my title's just, might be excused.
Looking better than it has the last couple of weeks.
We're slowly, I mean, the rates are coming up. I was talking with that guy, you know, he said he didn't want to lock us into too much right now, far out, because he's thinking, you know,
You're gonna have
6 months.
more opportunities
Right.
coming up pretty quickly, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 13, consideration and possible action on appointment to the Navasota Housing Authority Board. Mr. Stafford?
Mr. Mayor and City Council, we have one board position that remains to be filled. We did receive an application from Laura Meese to fill that role, or that position, for the term that ends September of 2020. I think everybody knows Laura, who Laura is. She works down at the
Health Resource
Center.
Mr. Mayor, I move we appoint Laura Meese to the Navasota Housing Authority Board with a term ending September 2020.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Horn, second by Mr. Fultz to appoint Laura Meese to Navasota Housing Authority Board. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 14, consideration and possible action on the first reading of ordinance 887-19, denying the distribution cost recovery factor rate increase request of Entergy Texas Incorporated. Mr. Stafford.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, Entergy has proposed this increase, and of course, Lawton firm that works with all the cities has asked us if we were interested, or asked us to approve this ordinance to deny that cost recovery so that they can have some time to review this and make sure that their requests are accurate.
Denied.
We've had very good luck by doing this. Generally save the ratepayers quite a bit of money at the end of the day.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the first reading of ordinance number 887-19, denying the distribution cost recovery factor rate increase request of Entergy Texas Incorporated.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gessner, second by Mr. Fultz to approve ordinance 887-19. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 15 is a consent agenda. We have consideration of
Mr.
possible.
Mayor,
Whoa.
I request that we separate the items on the consent agenda.
Okay. All right, we will go first with consideration of possible action on the second reading of ordinance 885-19, changing the current zoning from split ag-open agri-space district B1 general business district to B1 general business for the properties legally described as A0002, D. Arnold, Tract 7, Parcel 13, 3.485 acres, A0002, D. Arnold, Tract 7, Parcel 14-2, 2 acres, A0002, D. Arnold, Tract 7, Parcel 14, 2 acres, A0002, D. Arnold, Tract 7, Parcel 14-1, 12.76 acres, changing the current zoning from split ag-open, ag-open space district, B1 general business district, B2 general business district, single structures, uses over 50,000 square foot, to B1 general business district for the properties legally described as A0002, D. Arnold, Tract 7, Parcel 15 and 16 acres, 9.74, changing current zoning from ag open, open space district to R1A, high density, single dwelling unit, 7,000 square foot lot, residential district for the property legally described as A002, D. Arnold, Tract 7, Parcel 12, 7.01 acres, changing the current zoning from ag open to R3, high-density multi-dwelling unit residential district for the properties legally described as A002, D. Arnold, 1.665 acres, Tract 7, Parcel 13-4, A0002, D. Arnold, Tract 7, Parcel 11, 3.2 acres, located in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas.
I'm sorry, what?
Could you repeat that, please?
Can you play it back on the camera?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the second reading of ordinance number 885-19.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gessner, second by Mr. Fultz to approve on second reading ordinance 885-19 as previously read. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. We have consideration of possible action of the second reading of ordinance 886-19, amending chapter 14, zoning, appendix A, zoning ordinance, article 2, districts, district boundaries, official zoning map, new uses and compliance, section 2.5, compliance required of the code of ordinances of the city of Navasota regarding the prohibition of metal siding.
Mr. Mayor, I started thinking about this after we passed it last time. And I'm afraid that we're reacting like we did to the sign ordinance. By doing this through the AO district and the R1C, we're essentially prohibiting people that have ag open space or have their little ranchettes or something and want to have a horse or farm animals there from doing the, I don't know if it's most cost effective, but certainly the easiest way of putting up a barn or some kind of a workshop or something. So, and even in some of the other zones where we have in effect an ag open situation, a place where people have a large piece of land and have animals there, although that's not the only thing, but it creates a little bit of a problem for them if we're restricting them. The whole issue of the metal siding is an aesthetic thing. I think that we generally agreed last time that there's nothing wrong with the metal siding from a construction standpoint. It is not something that you would like to have in your downtown or on your main streets or anything like that. We took care of that when we discussed the B2 zone by prohibiting it on the facades and on I think 2/3 of the sides of the building, but did permit it on the back and the rest of the sides. I think that could be permissible on some of this other thing. We panicked because there is somebody building a, quote, barn dominium up on 10th Street. What it's gonna end up with, what they're gonna end up actually, putting up as siding, I don't know yet, but it is a big metal frame building. Although they've done a lot of wooden dividers and stud work and everything on the thing. Where would this leave us with aluminum siding? Is that then prohibited because we're prohibiting all the metal siding, with the exception of the thing? So I find too many holes in the thing. We give the commercial buildings a great special authority by the Planning and Zoning Commission, so then I guess the permission is if Planning and Zoning thinks it looks okay, and then we're getting into something we've avoided for years, and that is becoming the aesthetic police type thing on everybody's design type thing. Not only that, it's just one more step in there to our business-friendly concept suffering a blow from it. I think that there's nothing inherently wrong with the metal siding, it just doesn't look right. It's okay on a roof. Now, is there an angle where it becomes legal from the roof type thing to the front type thing? I mean, if you have a really steep pitched roof type thing, are we gonna say, okay, well, you can't have that? It's gotta be a flat roof or something so we can't see it, because the whole issue seems to be aesthetic. So, this is shades of the sign ordinance type thing, and I just think we need to put it aside and look at it a little more carefully and come back with something that gives a little more flexibility and a little more allowance on the thing.
I don't have any problem with further study of it, personally.
Me either. Not something I feel like has to be done.
It's not entirely, I mean, it all started out, we were just trying to get a new definition for barn dominium.
Right.
And then it morphed into this. And it isn't all aesthetics, it's the character of the town that we're trying to keep. And obviously metal roofs are a part of Texas architecture since the beginning. So I agree with you, letting planning and zoning study it some more.
We can take
We
no
need a
action,
motion on
we can
it?
take no action on the item, and,
May I suggest if you're not good, that you table it actually until allow time for staff to evaluate the study and bring something back to you?
You need a motion to that?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we table this until further study's been done.
Second.
motion by Mr. Gessner, second by Mr. Horn to table the item B under consent agenda, second reading ordinance 886-19. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. And that is such a long, yeah, we're done, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.